Welcome inside episode 604 of the Locked On Senators podcast. I'm Ross Levitan on the outskirts of enemy territory in Winnipeg, Manitoba, alongside Brandon Piller up in the Blue Mountains, and we ask a simple question today. Will the Ottawa Senators be a playoff team next spring?
And Ross, for them to make the playoffs, one of those good playoff teams is going to have to get bounced. Which team will it be?
We'll get into all that, including a roundup through exactly 1 week of free agency. All that and more coming up on today's edition of the Locked On Senators podcast. It's your team every day.
Locked On Senators, your daily podcast on the Ottawa Senators. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Thank you for making Locked On Senators your first listen on this Tuesday, July 19th. We are free and available on all platforms, including on YouTube, where the best way to help the show grow is to like the videos by clicking the thumbs up, subscribing to the channel, and engaging in the comments. You can either reply to someone else's or let us know today's burning question. Are the Ottawa Senators, as constructed today, a Stanley Cup playoff team? Before we unravel this onion, peel it layer by layer, Pilsy, a yes or no question. It's simple. Where are you at right now?
You know what? I'm usually realistic, conservative, all this kind of stuff, but I'm going with a big yes, Ross, because when you add a 40-goal scorer, when you add a veteran like Claude Giroux that still excels in the faceoff dot and still can put up points and is going to be in a second line role playing with Tim Stützle and DeBrincat, when you lock up Josh Norris, when you trim all the fat that the Ottawa Senators had, most of it. And look, I know it sounds like excuses, but COVID and injuries were a real issue for the Ottawa Senators, and not having two solid goaltenders. When there's no way they can get as unlucky as they did last year. There's simply no way. And now, night in and night out, there's a goalie that the coach, the players, the fans should feel confident can give them a chance to win. So for those reasons, all pulled together, I think it is very reasonable to say that the Ottawa Senators can be a playoff team this year.
So I mentioned we're going to get into all the moves, not only for the Ottawa Senators, but the Atlantic Division as a whole was extremely busy. Yeah. And the teams that were so far out of the postseason last year, the Sens were 27 points out of the third spot in the Atlantic Division. 27 points. That is not, just a bounce here or there, a bad luck here or there, but a bad month like November certainly didn't help Ottawa's case. But other teams were improving. And then at the end, we asked this on Twitter at Sens Central. To make the playoffs, you got to knock out a team who was there last year. Who is ripe for the pickings? Who is a team that's either over the hill, a team that made bonehead decisions this offseason? Who could the Senators pass in the race for Lord Stanley's Cup? But to start with the Senators, you mentioned it, and let's start as a goalie-friendly show. Woo. In net. Who starts on opening night? I know training camp might have a little bit to say with it. Do you give it to the veteran like Cam Talbot? Or you and I watched Anton Forsberg put up a 47-save performance against Toronto last year. You just look at him and say, hey, Anton, let's run it back.
There's not a chance in the world that anyone other than Anton Forsberg plays goal opening night. He has earned it. And look, I want Talbot to push him for that job, but we saw it opening night, like you mentioned, Ross, last year. Like Anton Forsberg, he deserves that spotlight, and it's his job to lose as far as I'm concerned. So you got to give it to Forsberg.
Interesting. Now the Senators' schedule, which Pilsy and I are going through, combing through it, and trying to figure out where we can sneak down to and get together for some games. But they start out without a back-to-back until the end of November, the start of December, Pilsy.
What a blessing.
What a blessing. It's basically night on, night off, night on, night off, alternating the whole time. It's fantastic to see for a schedule that was so harsh last, 13 back-to-backs?
For some reason, 17 is in my mind. That may be too high, but because you got to remember the COVID push that squeezed everything together after the Olympic break, right? So that changed things.
Yeah, interesting. Maybe what you do is you start Forsberg and Talbot on the 2 road games. Give them each a game. And then whoever plays better gets the home opener against Boston?
No. Forsberg gets the home opener. You got to give it to Forsberg.
You want to go minor hockey style? Give Forsberg the Sabres. Then Cam Talbot, closest team to his hometown. I'm sure that would be kind of special for him. Battle of Ontario on the Saturday night. And then you go with Forsberg back against the Bruins.
I don't like consistent flip-flopping because as a goalie, at least I can say this in my prestigious house league career, there's nothing worse than when you feel like you're getting into a groove and then it's like, okay, just because this is what we do, we're going to switch goalies now. And then you've lost that groove. You got to find it again. So and DJ Smith said this, he's going to play the hot hand. And I love how blunt he is, just being like, look, guys, to the media, I don't know anything about goalies. I defer to Zach Burke, and I'll play the hot hand. Who's ever hot, that's who we're going to play. And I feel like that's how you got to do it, because you can't have 2 goalies being like, it doesn't matter how good I play. I know I'll get the next game here. You got to earn that. You got to fight for that crease, especially when there's 2 veterans. A guy who just got the biggest contract of his life in Anton Forsberg. He's got to prove that he's worth it. And a guy in Cam Talbot being like, the Minnesota Wild screwed me over. I was their guy and they brought in Fleury, and then that pissed me off. And now I'm in Ottawa. I'm going to prove not only to Ottawa, but the rest of the league that I'm not just some 1B backup goalie. I'm going to be a starter somewhere, and I'm going to fight for that job. So I want them fighting for it, and I don't want there to be any sort of routine in how the goalies play. Win to stay in. That's what I like.
All right, we're getting a little ahead of ourselves, planning out all of October's goaltending starts. But what it is,
goalie-friendly show, we'll do it.
Yes, exactly. And I think the people, and we'll get to the results of this poll so far. And again, I just posted it on Twitter at Sens Central. So by the time you're listening to this, still have your say right over there on twitter.com/Sens Central. Which team would be the one who they could pass? A lot of answers coming in as Boston and Washington. And those happen to be 2 of Ottawa's first opponents, the first 2 home games at the CTC next year. Hey, we get a video tribute early as Connor Brown's Washington Capitals will take rent for one night in Canada on October 20th. But that just shows you there's no dip your toe, because they got the Leafs on the Saturday as well. Yep. And even the Sabres are going to be improved. So you look at this, 4 straight divisional games coming in to open the season. So you cannot ease into it. However, Pierre Dorion has been easing into the improvement on defense, because we've heard it since the draft, but there has been no trigger pulled to add a top 4 defenseman or any defenseman as it stands right now. And even though John Klingberg's still out there, it's slim pickings on the free agent front.
Other than the only defenseman they've signed is Thomas Hamara, one of their draft
Dylan
choices.
Hetherington.
So. Oh yes, yeah, true, and a couple Jacob Larson we talked about, and there was one
shatter.
more. There was another big guy. I think he played with the Marlies. I forget his name. Now.
Christian Rubens.
Yes, that's it. So not entirely true there, but I'm still sad about the Marino thing. That one still hurts, but
the question is, I was just gonna say, is this the Achilles heel of the Ottawa Senators enough that it could hold them out of a playoff spot?
Maybe. Honestly, maybe. Because when you start looking at the rest of that D-core, without adding a guy on that right side, you are putting a lot of pressure on Jake Sanderson to be the difference here. And I'm not saying he can't be that difference. I'm just saying it's a lot to put on a kid jumping into the NHL his first year. So that's a difficult thing to kind of bank on. But if you're going to bank on anyone coming into the NHL and succeeding right away, I'll push my chips in on Jake Sanderson. I don't mind that.
Yeah, doubt him at your own peril, honestly.
Yeah, we can ask the internet how that goes.
And the other X factor here is, will Lassie Thompson, who we know keeps in fantastic shape, we heard that from Crooker. What do you say? He's built like a Greek god? Hey, is that what Crooker said about Lassie?
I think so.
Does he come in at 22, 23 years old now and be like, all right, it's time for me to knock the door down and steal a job on the right side out of camp? Because as it stands right now, I highly doubt we see Eric Branson on the right side in the top 4 in training camp, because
Not top 4.
Right. So as it stands right now, then either Travis Hamonic or Nikita Zaitsev is a top 4 defenseman on the right side on this team.
I'll take Hamonic 7 days of the week over Zaitsev.
Oh, yeah, in that this or that, but I don't think either of them gives you confidence that this is going to be a playoff team.
It doesn't help, no. But I think if we're looking at a situation, Ross, where the Senators, and this sounds weird, only got DeBrincat and didn't also get Giroux, then I'm glaring at that top four right-hand shot defenseman problem a little bit more. But when
you think they're just going to outscore it?
I think they can with two solid goaltenders. Like, Anton Forsberg legitimately stole games for this Ottawa Senators team. So add a 40-plus goal scorer and a veteran that's going to win some faceoffs and can still put up points. That's going to help out. And then give another year of growth to early 20s Brady Tkachuk, Josh Norris, Drake Batherson, and Tim Stützle. Like, those guys are only going to get better as well. So I think, can they outscore their problems all the way to the playoffs and have success in the playoffs? Maybe not. That's a tough thing to do, as the Toronto Maple Leafs can tell you. You can't outscore all your problems. But doing that with extra goaltending, and if Jake Sanderson can transition to the NHL the way we hope he can, I think it's possible to do without a top four D. But I still think, like I mentioned yesterday, I think the Sens will be aggressive at trade deadline for that defenseman, because the whole market changes and guys that were not available suddenly become available. And that's when you can decide, okay, where are we? How much stock can we put into this team's immediate future?
Yeah, well, the fans believe that the immediate future is bright for the Ottawa Senators, as the early returns on the poll at Sens Central on Twitter show 68% of the first 300 voters saying, yeah, hell yeah, this is going to be a playoff team. And right after Pillsy tells us a quick word from Built Bar, I'm going to give a shine to some of the replies here. We'll share the screen for those watching on YouTube, and you can see which teams the listeners think are most likely to be on the outside looking in. Then we're going to touch on the teams in the division, who got better, who got worse. All that coming up on Locked On Senators. Pillsy, our friends at Built Bar are wondering, are you a Puffs guy or do you prefer the protein bar? I've been meaning to ask you forever.
Well, you're going to get your answer, Ross. I am a Puffs guy, big time, because summer is here. And with summer, you're going to need some food on the go. And Built Bar is the perfect snack to take with you on family vacations. Throw them in your bag, your kids' backpacks for camp. Hey, Martian, he likes to hit the golf course a bunch. Take some Built Bars in your golf bag, Martian, because they're easy to bring along and everyone has a flavor, so you're fueled for your summer adventure. And the best part about Built Bar is they focus on making it taste great and then figure out how to make it healthy. Why do I love the Built Bar Puffs? Because they have marshmallows in them. Now you're probably thinking marshmallows. Well, okay, we're not talking about protein anymore. Protein-infused marshmallow. How about that? And Ross, Built Bar always comes out with amazing seasonal flavors. I'm thinking of taking a couple camping trips this summer. I like s'mores once in a while. Some s'mores is definitely a fun campsite thing. Why not take a s'mores Built Bar so you don't have to deal with that sticky mess, the chocolate melting on your fingers, the gooey marshmallow. It's all put together perfectly in a Built Puff. 17 grams of protein, only 140 calories, and 100% real chocolate with crushed graham cracker on top. That is going to be your favorite summer snack. I can guarantee it. So, how do you get your hands on a Built Puff s'mores bar? Go to Built.com. They are delicious. That's just one of the many flavors you're going to love. Go to Built.com, use promo code LOCK15, and get 15% off your next order. One more time for the people in the back, use promo code LOCK15 for 15% off at Built.com. It's Built Bar, the protein bar that tastes like a candy bar.
All right, Pillsy, we should thank Tyler Boucher once again for coming on yesterday. If you missed that episode, highly recommend. Spend a half hour with him asking everything about development camp, what they got to do, who impressed him, who the hardest goalie to score on. We got into his next challenge, which is making the Team USA World Junior roster, and some fun stories about living with Jake Sanderson and Ridley Gregg over this summer. He is an absolute beauty. I tweeted out from my personal account, I don't think there's an athlete that I'm rooting for more than Tyler Boucher. Like, if this guy succeeds, not only will it be like Shaquille O'Neal dunking, bringing the hoop down on the backboard of everyone who was so quick to chirp him as an 18-year-old kid coming off knee surgery. But it would just be awesome to see because he's a really good kid, and we can't thank him enough for being a true friend of the show.
Yeah, it's so nice having Tyler on. He's really casual with us. So you could tell, like, when we're chatting with him, this isn't like a media groomed, prepped interview where he's careful with what he says. He's open. He's a chill guy. He's someone that I agree I'm also rooting for. And look, it's been a while since he was picked at 10th overall. Whether you think it's a reach or not, blah, 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 who cares? Let's move on from that. This kid is an Ottawa Senator. He's working his bag off to become the best hockey player he can. He had a real rough year with COVID and injuries and moving from college to the OHL. He's now focused. He's in a great spot. He's got opportunities to play on Team USA, like you mentioned. I think Tyler Boucher is going to have an unbelievable bounce back year, and all the haters, they're going to verbal meme the Homer Simpson gif where he slides back into the bushes, because you're going to be regretting some of the things you say, because he's focused and he's got all the tools. Now it's just about putting it together and having a good season.
Yeah, I mean, he's not going to, I don't think, make the Sens this year, but certainly wherever he does end up, like the shot, the hockey IQ, the tenacity, the way that he skates, he's always moving his feet. It was great to hear that all the reports out of Dev Camp, and take it for what it's worth. It's a Dev Camp, and yes, he was the second highest drafted player on the ice, first actually on the ice, because Jake Sanderson didn't take part in any of the team drills. So yeah, you could say he should be up there with the best, but he certainly was. And we're going to have our friend at Sens Prospects on in the next couple of weeks. We're going to do a prospect pyramid type exercise. So it'll be fun to see what his thoughts are on Tyler Boucher, because he had boots on the ground at different events. All right, back to the topic of the day. The topic du jour is, will the Ottawa Senators make the postseason this upcoming year? So we know that the gap in the Atlantic was about as wide as the Atlantic Ocean. Now, the Tampa Bay Lightning, 3 straight Stanley Cup finals. They won 2 of them. As long as Andrei Vasilevsky's their goalie, they have a chance to win the cup. And then you add on the depth of talent that they have. They've re-signed they've taken care of their own guys. I appreciate that about them. The 8-year extensions for Cirelli and for Chernak as well. 7 years for Nick Paul. I'm missing another guy, got an 8-year deal as well. I'm forgetting who that was, but they've got Kucherov, Stamkos. Like, if you watch playoff hockey, you know that this is not a team that's going to be out there. So I think we can just cross them right off away. Respect to the champs.
Yes, but also, while you got to praise them for all the moves they did do, Ross, you got to remember what else happened. Andre Palat, massive part of this team's playoff success, scored a lot of big goals, gone. Ryan McDonough, a huge part of stabilizing that back end and keeping the puck out of their own net, gone. So there are some notable subtractions here as Tampa Bay has to go through. Good teams have to go through that. So yes, did they bring back a lot of their key guys? Yep. Do they still have that amazing core? Yes. But is this team better than they were last year? No.
All right. Yeah, well said. I'm trying to find out who's that third guy that
I forget all the names you mentioned. Sergachev.
Sergachev I didn't have there. 8.5 cap for a guy with 38 points. I mean, yeah, he brings some on the defensive end too, but he should not be making.
And wasn't he usually paired with McDonough?
Yes, he was.
So let's see how he does without Ryan McDonough beside him. That will be very interesting to see how he holds up. Not saying that I don't think he will, but that's a big change, a big adjustment.
And I'm not saying that Ian Cole is Ryan McDonough, but they did bring in kind of a stabilizer back there to play a similar role, although not as good. Hayden Fleury is just kind of a shot in the dark for, again, a former first-round pick. But I think it's pretty safe to say that
I'm with you on that. Yep.
That the Lightning are there. And they also brought back Vlad Nemesnikov, who sends abroad. We'll touch on some of the
I'm actually a big Nemesnikov fan. I like that move a lot.
He was sick shorthanded with Ottawa. Remember how good he was?
He was so good shorthanded, yeah.
The Florida Panthers, speaking of former Senators.
Oh my God.
Jesus. Not only Michael Del Zotto, not only Colin White, not only Chris Tierney, but Rudolph Balcers as well.
I was going to say, do not forget my guy.
And how about the package deal? Bring in Mark Stahl on a 1-year contract at $750, and then signing his brother Eric Stahl to a PTO. I guess the Stahls come in bunches.
Yeah, they typically do. That's what it seems like, eh?
No, that's strange to me. Now, they lose Mason Marchment. They lose Claude Giroux.
Yep.
I don't think they're better than they were.
Nope.
How
No
much
chance.
worse could they be?
But also consider Giroux was brought in at the deadline. They were already a top team at that time before Giroux.
Marchment's sneaky good player, though.
Sneaky good, but I still think the Florida Panthers have one of the best top 9 in the league. There's so much spread out scoring. Like
Duclair's out long term, though. Remember, Duclair injured himself. Excuse me. Duclair injured himself.
Right, yeah, and he had surgery, but he'll be back around November or something like that, right?
Okay, all right, yeah.
I think. Don't quote me on that, but that's my assumption. And I think the biggest thing here, Ross, is how's Bobrovsky going to do, and does Spencer Knight need to come in and save the day here? Because Bobrovsky did have a bounce back season, but when you're taking up 10 mil of the cap, there's a lot of pressure on you to perform. So we'll see if he can kind of continue that, but I still think there's enough depth on this lineup, and there's enough kind of motivation now. The motivation of getting spanked by your big brother, Tampa Bay Lightning.
True.
This team's going to come back hungry. I still think they're able to make the playoffs.
All right, so then we move down to the Boston Bruins, because I think we'll wait for Toronto. They can wait.
I was going to say, that's not the next team.
No, they can wait. With the Boston Bruins, though, they trade Eric Howla. Still no contract in place for Patrice Bergeron, which we thought would be a slam dunk. David Krejci, is he coming back? There's rumors, but nothing's official there either. I don't know what to make of this team that's going to be without Brad Marchand and without Charlie McAvoy for the start of the season. Like, this, to me, seems like the team that if you're the Ottawa Senators, you're circling and saying, we're going to be better than them next year.
I'm not so sold on Boston's decline as I think the consensus of Twitter is. They've still got David Pastrnak. They've still got Taylor Hall. Their goaltending is really good. They've got a good tandem. They who am I missing here? But they still have Hampus Lindholm. That was a great addition to that decor. I think they're still going to be in the mix. But I think they're more of a wild card team than a top 3 Atlantic Division team, just because having no Marchand and no McAvoy for the start of the season is going to be tough. And we'll see if they can handle that kind of humility to their typical reputation at the start of the year and see if they can bounce back. And yeah, Bergeron and Krejci, those are 2 hinging pieces where if you get one or both of them back, or one or both of them not back, that changes your entire season.
Oh, 100%. Like we saw them without Krejci last year. They were just a different team. They didn't have that depth. They had to elevate Eric Howla to be a second-line center. I think in a perfect world, he's a really, really good third-line center.
Wait, but he's gone now. They traded him for Pavel Zacha.
That's what I'm saying, and I don't love Pavel Zacha.
And they don't even have him signed. He's an RFA still.
Oh, there you go. And the Devils were just trying to move on from him however they could. So, I don't love where the Boston Bruins are right now, and I think that management's kind of done them in here over the last while, and we'll see. Obviously, everyone got excited when Pasta's name surfaced very briefly. Jim Montgomery, new coach coming in. Can he get them rolling in the right direction, even though many see it as a downgrade versus what they had in Bruce Cassidy as their previous coach? So Boston's a team I have circled. We'll get to our conclusions afterwards. First, I guess we could talk about the Toronto Maple Leafs, the Toronto Senators, in a way, although I do believe Victor Mete will be in the Marlies, maybe even Gaudette as well, or maybe an extra forward, but they didn't get better, in my opinion. Like, even with their goaltending tandem, like Campbell and Mrazek, I take them over Murray and Samsonov every day of the week.
And I'm not sure why the Toronto Maple Leafs didn't do that. Like, to walk away from Campbell over, what is it, like a quarter mil?
700,000.
Okay.
Because they got Murray at 4.8.
No,
and then he made
Campbell
5.
signed a 5x5. Yeah, so
I thought it was 5.5. Sorry, 5x5. Yes, you're right.
Yeah, so
you're
looking at a difference of a couple $100,000 to.
Yeah,
but it's high risk, high reward. If they can rebuild Matt Murray, and if all the special stats that prove that Matt Murray would have been a better goalie for the Leafs than he would have for the Sens, if those can all magically come true and the Toronto Maple Leafs can figure that out, that can be good. But I don't like the gamble. And no Mikheyev. They lost. He went to Buffalo. Labushkin.
Yeah, yeah.
So that's a bit of a hit to their decor. They're still trying to work out Sandin's deal as well, right?
Yeah, and they're already over the cap. They're probably going to have to part with Kerfoot.
Yeah. So then you lose
51
even
points.
more. And look, the Toronto Maple Leafs, I still think they can have a decent regular season. But what is the point if you keep having good regular seasons getting bounced in the first round because you don't have what it takes to get it done? So I still think, and sorry not to hop on the right side of the argument here for Sens Twitter, I still think the Leafs are going to make the playoffs. I think it'll be tougher for them, but they're going to get bounced in the first round again, probably by your Ottawa Senators.
That's a dream this year. But yeah, you got to give him credit where it's due. Like Austin Matthews, these next 2 years, enjoy him, Leaf fans, because he is a special player. Over 60 goals this year, and as much as we hate him, like Mitch Marner's a sick point producer. You can say other parts of his game, can cause.
I'm glad you reference it as point producer. I'll allow that.
He puts up points.
Yep.
100%. So those guys will carry them at least offensively. And I do like the Giordano re-signing. He obviously took kind of bare minimum just to stay and keep the band together. I don't know how they keep convincing vets to do that. I guess you're guaranteed teacher level summers, but beyond that.
And Giordano, he's got a couple bucks in the bank. So
very true. Very true. Now, the Buffalo Sabres are an intriguing one because they didn't do much in free agency, but I just love the young core that they're building there. I don't know if it's this year, especially with a duo of Craig Anderson and Eric Comrie and Malcolm Subban in goal. Although I do like Eric Comrie, but that's a trio. There you go. Thank you. I still think they're probably a year or two away, but they're going to be one to keep an eye on because their prospect pool is as good as anybody's in the league. So
they're one of those teams where it's like if you play down to their level, they'll surprise you and they'll beat you.
Yeah, they're the Ottawa Senators of 2 years ago.
Kind of, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, and it'll be interesting to see how much of an impact Owen Power can make right off the bat. Now, the trio of D, 1, 2, 3, right? Trio.
There you go.
Between Jake Sanderson, we've got Owen Power, and this man, Simon Edvinsson in Detroit, who's expected to just hop in and play top four. Like Detroit and Ottawa, to me, are so fascinating. And we've said before, we'll say it again, and we are going to make it happen with the Locked On Red Wings fellas. Like, I want to compare rebuilds and see where they feel their team's at, because Stevie Y definitely, he didn't mortgage the future in terms of making long-term contracts outside of probably the worst deal they made, which was Ben Sherrod at 4 years. But at under $5 million, it's not going to handcuff you all encompassing. But still, adding David Perron, adding Dominic Kubalik on 2-year deals, and then the big fish, 5 years. But this is a guy that you give 5 years to every day of the week. Andrew Kopp coming home. Sens fans will appreciate the old coming home story. I think that he had an awesome offseason. And then when you consider their goaltending was brutal last year, didn't they allow 10 goals against the Leafs in a single game? I think they allowed 10 goals more than once in last year.
Bro, think about what the Ottawa Senators and Matthew Joseph did to that team.
Yeah, wow. Yeah, so they got Ville Husso to kind of take care of a bit of that. So I like what Detroit did. I don't think Detroit's a playoff team yet, but they're certainly on the rise as well.
Yeah, they're a team that made good moves. I think those moves, the players they brought in are support players that are going to help those big prospects. Your Lucas Raymonds, he's not a prospect, but Dylan Larkin, your Mo Siders. Like, these guys are going to help support those guys to elevate them to where they need to go. They're going to be a tough matchup, but they're not in the playoff is not in their sights yet. No.
Yeah, 100%. Well, I think it'll be interesting, though, at the same time, because they could be a team where by December you're like, oh, damn, like they have a pretty good record. Can they keep it rolling? I do think.
Because they were hot for a while. Like, their record was surprisingly good for the first half of the season.
Oh, yeah, 100%. So those are the teams in the Atlantic that we feel have a chance to be good. Do we miss any teams? No.
I don't think so.
No.
We did. We did. That's because it's so irrelevant. And with Slavkovsky playing in the CHL, how are they going to make the playoffs?
Simmer's killing me these days, man. You never know what to do. Carlson to Tampa confirmed. This guy is absolutely nuts. But
he's gone off the rails.
Yeah, they're a team. You know what? I was just in my head. The NHL is 31 teams. So I just forgot whoever finished 32nd, but
congrats to the 32nd.
You know what? Here's what I'll say. I'll say something nice about the Habs. It's always a fun atmosphere when the Sens and Habs play.
Oh, okay. I thought you were gonna say it's always a fun atmosphere at the Bell Center. I was like,
No.
I can strongly disagree with
No.
that.
All right, so
Yeah.
we'll talk. We're talking playoff contenders, so we can move on. I think, Pilsy. We'll talk coming up right after the break about which teams in the Metropolitan that we think could be a wild card team. Is there one of those that could be?
Wait,
upset?
before we go to the break, though, Ross, have you picked your team yet that is going to be replaced by? Because I assume you're on the side that the Senators will make the playoffs.
Find out after this quick break. Coming up next, more Locked On Senators. It's brought to you by Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. All right, Pilsy, nice little tease there. And yes, I am on the side that the Ottawa Senators will contend in next year's postseason as built today, but with the caveat that eventually, whether it's still before the season gets underway or at least before the deadline, I don't even want it on the deadline. I would say closer to Christmas, like the same time of year where they made that Kyle Turris trade. And you're just like, okay, now we're kind of just like taking a next step in the middle of the season. They are going to need to add to that decor, and more importantly, potentially, is to I need proof that they're not going to play Nikita Zaitsev if he's still here. You can't just do everything you can to get rid of someone, and then if he stays, play him 20 minutes.
No,
treat him like that player that you don't owe him anything. You've paid him an abhorrent amount of money.
You just gave him $2 million a couple weeks ago. So, but wait, my question still stands. Has the team that the Sens going to replace been mentioned yet? For you?
I think there's two teams, and one of them has been mentioned.
And that's Boston?
Boston.
Okay.
Which Metropolitan team?
My team has not been mentioned yet.
So mention them. Now's your time. You got the floor.
Are we going to do it like that, or you want to run through in order here?
No. Just do it.
Okay. I think, and bear with me here, I know right off the bat it doesn't make sense, but I think the Pittsburgh Penguins are going to be the team that gets knocked out. Now, I know everyone's probably smacking their steering wheel being like, they're in another division, but what I think is going to happen is Washington is going to take the Pittsburgh spot where they finished third in that division. That frees up another wild card spot. And then I've got Ottawa and Boston as the two wild card team.
Wow. All right. That's interesting. So the Islanders aren't going to make a bounce back either?
No, God, no. Though the team I'm starting to get a little bit worried about is Columbus.
Yeah? Columbus more than New Jersey?
Oh, yeah, big time. Adding a 115-point scorer in Johnny Gaudreau, that changes things.
Yeah. I mean, we'll see what goaltending they get, though, next year. I'm a little worried. Like, are they going to get the Merzlikins that burst on the scene and that was unbelievable? Or the one who had like a .905 save percentage?
Yep, fair.
So to me, that's kind of, I mean, it's a burning question for a lot of teams like New Jersey too. How much do you really trust Vitek Vanacek? Is he their number one guy, or I guess kind of a tandem with Blackwood?
Yeah, I would say Blackwood, but Blackwood wasn't reliable for them. So we'll see.
Yeah, I have no idea what to expect out of New Jersey and Columbus. You're right. Those are kind of two complete wild cards. And yeah, the Islanders don't trust
wild cards that won't be in the wild card.
But Sorokin, like, you can't understate how friggin' good Sorokin is as a goalie for the Islanders. They're just going to bore you to death, but without Barry Trotz.
They can't score.
Yeah, you're right.
And that's a team, like we talk about all these teams, like their core players are getting better. The Islanders' core players are getting worse.
Yeah, fair.
Right.
Fair. No,
other than
like
Barzal.
Yeah. It's going to be interesting to see, man, and that's why you play 82 games. We're going to do it. So you have the Senators as they stand right now competing for a playoff spot next year?
Yeah, I do, and I really think the trade deadline is when they're going to make that push. I think they'll get a rental D-man and try to figure it out next offseason if they don't make a splash this offseason. But it's the options for making that splash right now are dwindling here.
Yeah, 100%. Well, let's get, before we go, a quick look at what your thoughts are on, can the Ottawa Senators be a playoff team? As it stands today, are you confident the Sens will compete in next year's Stanley Cup playoffs? If so, which team from this past spring will be on the outside looking in? Still 68%. We're through just about 600 votes on this poll. And we've got Nicholas Spence has his already playoff picture done here. So you like to see that. Dylan, who we appreciate at Fighting Stutzla, our boy, giving away cards. Throw him a little heart there. Sens can make up some ground on the Bruins. So he's got the Bruins there, the Capitals as well. You know what? I had the Caps, but not only the Connor Brown signing, I actually love the Dylan Strome signing as well. I think that he could be a real nice fit.
And Kemper's an increase on Samsonov and Vanacek. I don't think for the long term, but I think for next season, I think it's a better move.
Definitely. And I mean, you still have Ovi chasing that record. That's going to light a fire
And if
under
Backstrom
him.
can come back, you got to remember how much time he missed last year. If Backstrom comes back, that's massive.
Yep. How about Margaret, the eternal optimist? My ideal situation is that it looks like Boston all season, and then in a spectacular collapse the final few weeks, it's the Leafs. Thanks in large part losing to the Sens.
Cheering for that too, Margaret.
Yeah, that's fantastic there. Carter, a lot of people are feeling it's going to be Boston. That's what Carter Cannon says.
Yep.
Our boy, Sensual Healing.
Woo!
I'd love to say they will, but I really think they need that top 4D. Thank you for bringing some other perspective to this, because I feel like it was all just everyone, yeah. Daniel on the same terms, saying they got to get rid of Zaitsev and acquire a legit top 4 defenseman before I put any playoff expectations on this team. Frederic is going to go right in the middle, 50-50. Max is going to say Boston's going to decline and Washington without Backstrom at the start of the year. But a lot of teams are dealing with these early season injuries. We'll see. It's going to be a long season up here. And then, this top 4D really needs to be addressed according to the overwhelming part of the fan base. Pills?
Yeah, but it's because, Ross, that's the only remaining hole in this roster. Like, I know other teams' fans are being like, wow, Sens are getting way ahead of themselves here. But honestly, the forward core, I wouldn't touch at all.
We didn't even talk about it in segment 1. We talked about the goaltending and the decor, because up front they're just locked and loaded.
It's perfect. And then you got 2 solid veterans in goal, and the decor's the only spot that needs improving now.
Yeah, I agree with you. And I guess what we can finish off on here, we appreciate everyone going in here and leaving their thoughts. What I really want to get to, though, is what's the leash on DJ Smith this offseason? Maybe we can get into that on tomorrow's show. We also have a Senators prospect, a brand new Senators prospect coming up on tomorrow's show. Looking forward to introducing you to him tomorrow. And then later on this week, we've got another insider coming up. And then next week, we're going down to 3 shows per week. It'll be like that through all of August. And that doesn't mean the content's going to slow down, because we still owe you guys some draft profiles on all 9 picks that the Ottawa Senators made. And coming up as well, we've got our organizational value rankings. It's now in its 3rd season, Pilsy, the 3rd edition of the organizational value ranking. So it'll be cool, because we're going to put up the 2020 rank, the 2021 rank, and now 2022. So we'll get a real sense of where these players' values are going. Are they trending up, down, all over the place? What's it going to be? It'll be really fun. Pilsy and I are going to spend some time today going through, making our list, and checking it twice. But that'll be super fun coming up on Locked On Senators. So don't go anywhere, Pilsy. We've got a lot to get to going through the rest of the summer. Any final thoughts here as we've both concluded? And yes, consider it homerism, consider it whatever you want, but I truly believe with the moves they've made, they will at least give themselves a chance to contend, if not do a little damage coming up this next season.
Just final news and notes for me. Congrats to Rourke Chartier for signing a deal, and he will be coming back to Belleville. I liked Rourke Chartier, and I'm on his Elite Prospects page. 33 games, 25 points. Not bad at all. And then only 2 Belleville playoff games, 2 points there. So that's a guy I'm stoked to bring back. So quick stick taps to Rourke Chartier.
And he was a guy who's on a one-way AHL contract last year. So just like Jake Lucchini, those 2 guys are now officially able to be called up in the middle of the season. All right. Thanks for listening so much, guys. We'll be back tomorrow, as I said, with a very fun interview I think you guys will enjoy. But for today, we say goodbye. For Brandon Piller, I'm Ross Levitan. This has been the Locked On Senators podcast, your team every day.